All right, we'll get started. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Ignite. Hope you're having a blast here at Ignite, home of Mickey and Minnie Mouse. How could you not be having a blast, right? I'm certainly having a blast. I'm even more excited that you are here, able to join us this afternoon. I'm joined by my colleagues, Alex Lopez and Bill Ashcraft. I am Brian Allen, and today we're going to talk to you about speeding your way to a modern desktop. Before we get started, how many are taking on a project to move to a modern desktop, to a more modern environment? Okay, about half the room. Perfect. How many have heard of the Microsoft FastTrack offering? Oh, plenty. That's great. So let's baseline. What is a modern desktop? In a nutshell, modern desktop brings together the best of Windows 10, Office ProPlus, and enterprise mobility plus security. It essentially means three things: moving from Windows 7 to Windows 10, moving from perpetual Office to Office ProPlus, and ensuring you have a strategy to keep both Windows 10 and Office ProPlus up to date. So the next question, where do we start? So for the next few moments, I want to take time to map out your journey to a modern desktop, from planning to the core things that come into place for execution. So I'm going to cover 3 points from a planning perspective. One of the key things you want to consider is the user experience and device management strategy, moving from a traditional on-prem environment to a modern cloud environment. In today's world, users are expected to be productive anywhere, anytime, on devices that they choose. And IT is expected to provide ultimate security and ensure that those devices are protected. So, productivity versus security, we can help meet the two. Second point, assessing your environment for compatibility issues. We understand that compatibility issues are at the core of migrating to a new system. We understand that there are a lot of people concerned about app compat issues, driver issues, and we can help. We have resources that will give you those deep insights as to where you should spend your time. Where will you have app compatibility issues? And later on, we're going to announce a new Microsoft offering, Desktop App Assure. If you haven't heard of it, you're going to be excited. The third point, you need to have a strategy to keep OPP, Office ProPlus, and Windows 10 up to date, leveraging deployment rings and servicing channels. And we're going to give you some information, and we're here to help you adopt a strategy to stay current across both OPP and Windows 10. Now, let's map out your journey to a modern desktop. At the core of a modern desktop is the identity and access management solution, Azure Active Directory. It enables your sign-in experience and also ensures a secure connectivity to the cloud. Next, you want to move off, desktop analytics. You want to leverage desktop analytics to give you those deep insights into your environment. Understanding where should you spend your time validating apps. We've done a lot of work to validate apps. They just work. Maybe you don't need to spend time there. So we'll give you the insights on where should you spend your time. Where should you test the apps? What apps are commonly used? What apps are not used? Next, moving from Windows 7 to Windows 10. And again, from perpetual Office to Office ProPlus, ensuring you have the most productive, most secure computing operating system, computing machine out there. Next part of the journey is the device management strategy. Leveraging Intune to manage your mobile devices and Windows 10 devices via a single location. And if you happen to have System Center Configuration Manager, leveraging co-management as a way to cloud attach your on-prem Configuration Manager environment to Intune. And then lastly, leveraging the autopilot service to ensure a seamless onboarding experience as soon as that user boots up that new system. And then adding in scenarios such as Outlook Mobile, leveraging conditional access with app protection policies to protect the app at the app layer, and then bringing in teams to have ultimate collaboration. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your map to a modern desktop. So now, the next question, where do I start? So the Microsoft FastTrack benefit will help you accelerate your move to the cloud by providing you a dedicated resource that's going to help you plan your scenarios that allows you to be successful as you move to the cloud. And if you have Windows 7 and Windows 8.1 to Windows 10 scenarios, we will make partner recommendations that can help you on that journey as well. And as you can see in that middle column, we support all the services that I mentioned earlier. We will provide you a dedicated engineer, a specialist across each one of these services that's going to work with you to make sure that you're successful onboarding to these services. They'll help you with your best practices. They'll help you with any technical questions. They'll make sure you are able to be a rock star and you're ultimately successful deploying these services. We all want to be a rock star, right? Absolutely. And then, once you are fully deployed, we're not done. We want to stick around and we want to make sure that you have ultimate adoption across your end users. We want to make sure you receive ultimate return on your investment. And so we will provide labs, training material, end user videos, we all love videos, that's going to make sure that they understand what the new change is coming. So we do all of this, we offer all of this. I've worked at I don't know how many folks have had an opportunity to visit the Microsoft FastTrack booth in the expo hall, but I've talked to several customers and I've heard this is too good to be true. Well, it is good and it is true. We do this because we care. We want to make sure you are successful. We understand we're throwing a lot out and we want to make sure you have the resources available that's going to make you successful. So this is at no cost. This is included with the services you already own today. So please take advantage of the offering. It's here for you. Here's a customer that actually took advantage of the offering. You may have seen this video. You may have heard about the city of Corona. If not, as you can see, we've saved their IT department a lot of time by helping them adopt a strategy, leveraging Windows as a service, so that they are not spending a lot of time worrying about this. You know, leverage the solution, leverage the strategy to push those updates, to ensure that you're remaining current. So as you can see, this is an awesome benefit. It's for you. We're here to help. Please leverage this benefit. Next, I'm going to bring up my colleague, Bill Ashcraft, to talk to you a little bit more about Office ProPlus. So again, thank you for your time. Hope you enjoy the rest of your time at Ignite, and please take advantage of this Microsoft FastTrack offering.
All right, so I'm Bill Ashcraft. I'm the program manager at FastTrack for ProPlus. And I wanted to make sure that you knew a few points about this. When people see FastTrack, I don't think that they really get that FastTrack is about deployment. We don't do sales. We don't do a lot of other things. We're just going to deploy what's been purchased. And when we look at this, the single most overlooked point is the fact that this is good for the lifetime of the subscription. Okay, so if you want to use FastTrack to start with, then that's fine. If you want to deploy on your own, you want to have a partner do it, great. Maybe in a year's time you want to come back, 2 years' time. Maybe there's a particular issue that you're unable to solve, no problem, call us up. We're available indefinitely. Now, when we're doing this, we want to make sure that a couple of things are clear. One, we deploy ProPlus. We don't deploy Office 19, 16, 10, 7, or anything else. There's a couple of good reasons for that. First and foremost, that's what you purchased with the SKU. So if you get E3, E5, Business Essentials, et cetera, ProPlus is included, the others aren't. Second, when we're looking at this, actually the cost for ProPlus, you just can't compare it to the cost for 19. 19 is going to be more expensive. So if you're looking at like a single device, you know, it's going to be more expensive for 19. With ProPlus, you're going to get 5x5, desktops, tablets, phones, etc. Okay? Oh, I forgot. And the feature set. 19 is brand new, right? So which has more features? 365. Yes, sir. Office 365 ProPlus. Out of the gate. You know, it's always going to have more, and it will continue to have more. There will always be features that are never available in the perpetual version on-premise. Okay? Last, with regard to FastTrack, at some point down the road, there's going to come that issue where you have to have somebody help you out. There's going to be some corner case thing. So I don't know how to handle app compat. I want to do current branch, and I want to know how to use the ProPlus wizard. We have subject matter experts who are available. So even if you do the bulk of it on your own and you run into one specific issue, give us a call. We'll get somebody on the phone. If the generalist engineer that you first get can't solve the problem, we have ring-fenced resources. We can get somebody on to help you. So deployment. When we're talking about deployment, there's a couple of different things. You'll look in our documentation and you'll see the different phases. And this is stuff that we use a lot, but you don't really need to know about it. You know, essentially what it means is the initial, we want to find out who we're going to work with, what the schedule is, blah, blah, blah. Assess. What have you got on premise? What do you want to go to? Because there may be a combination of scenarios, right? Could be a central deployment, could be remote sites, et cetera. Okay? Within that, we also have the remediate. Is there something broken in the environment that's going to prevent us from actually getting the service rolled out? So we'll work through to correct it. And last, enable. This is where we want to get to. So we want to have velocity deployment. We want to get everyone hooked up so that they can move as fast as possible. So that's what we're talking about. But the most important question that I get when people are first starting out is there something that I can do right now? Do I have to wait for FastTrack? The answer is absolutely not. Okay? There are some key long poles that have to be solved no matter what's going to go on. So even before we get involved. So license assignment, that's actually a big one that enterprises miss. If you got 1,000 seats, go to the portal, click them one at a time. It's fine. If you have 100,000 seats, not so much. Okay, now you're going to need some way to address large assignments and changes in SKUs. So a particular SKU could have multiple workloads underneath. Do I want to assign them all at once? So on and so forth. Your two key approaches essentially is going to be PowerShell or Azure AD group-based licensing. PowerShell, I love it. It gives you extremely granular control, but it comes with an element of risk. You can mess up. Now, the existing documentation that's out there does a pretty good job of initial SKU assignment. So this is how you apply your E3 SKU and all the workloads underneath. But if you start doing delta assignments underneath it, it can get tricky. You can mess up. In addition, there's also performance limitations. If you try to do 100,000 assignments all at once, what does PowerShell do? It starts slowing down big time, right? And if you go back and you do a delta update against it again, it gets even slower, okay? Pretty soon, this thing can run days. Not cool. But you can use group-based licensing. Now, that's nice if you've got it through Azure AD Premium, because you can just assign a security group and just put everybody in the group underneath a particular configuration. It does lack granular control. So you've got a trade-off here. Do I want more granular control and risk, or less risk and less granular control? Make sense? Yeah, people are nodding, cool. All right. Where do we go here? Channels. So when we start to talk about channels, this is going to be monthly, this is going to be my semi-annual, and semi-annual targeted, okay? Of these three channels, I recommend everyone start with the targeted. Don't worry about monthly, don't worry about semi-annual. When you get ready for your mass deployment, fine. But you're going to do all your testing against targeted. I want them to start with targeted because they need to do their testing, their app compat. If you don't do testing against the targeted environment, any issues that you find and you report, you can't get fixed in time for your semi-annual. So you got to start with targeted. You know, you can ignore the monthly and the semi-annual initially. All right, when you're going through these, one of the key things that you also need to do is figure out who's going to be doing the testing. So who's going to represent the specific device collections that I need to support when I'm doing this? Okay, with these folks, you want to make sure that they get the targeted bits, and we're going to set them also up with the readiness toolkit. We're accomplishing two things there. One, we're establishing our testing strategy. Two, we're making sure that our existing documents work. So it's a matter of making sure that both Office works and the documents work. Within the app compat space, you've essentially got three groups of problems: macros, add-ins, and custom apps. Now for macros and add-ins, today, you could just go out and grab the Readiness Toolkit. Okay, you download it on your desktop. It's extremely easy to operate. There's a single article that covers most of the settings. Okay, run that. This will allow you to check your macros and your add-ins. For the macros, it's going to evaluate them. It'll say this works, that doesn't work. What we found is that the crash error rate on macros is microscopic. So we find on average maybe 6% of documents that we scan have some sort of macro in it. Of those, once you get down to the crash errors, you're looking at 0.02%. So the probability of a macro crash is really quite small. Okay, add-ins, it's going to check the add-ins. It'll go out and it'll look to see if these are supported, if they're fully supported, if they're alternates. You can also just go to readyforwindows.com. Look up, put in the name of your add-in, and it'll tell you whether or not it works. The third category, custom apps. So if you coded your own C++ app or C# or something else, and it's got to call a direct Office API call to one of your documents, we can't scan that. We don't have the source code. We don't want the source code. This is something that you have to test on your own. Now, we do have a backup for that, and that's App Assure, and Alex will talk about that next. So essentially, when we're looking at our deployment, we want to get a couple of outcomes. We want to make sure that there's a testing strategy. And monthly is not a testing strategy. This is devs and IT people who are looking at new features. SAC-T, that's your testing strategy. I want to put it on specific collections that represent my key departments, the types of device collections that have macros and plugins, so that I can make sure that it works in my environment. Semi-annual is not a testing strategy. If you are testing in semi-annual, you've already missed the boat. No, because if you didn't find it in SAC-T, it's not in semi-annual, so it's pointless. Test SAC-T. And last, we want to make sure that we're ready for velocity deployment. So by the time we're done with all of this, we want to make sure that this will roll out as quickly as possible. Now, these key long pole items, you don't need FastTrack to do this. We'll help you if you want. But this is something that has to start as quickly as possible, because determining the right collections of users and devices is going to take time. And there's really nothing we can do to speed that up for you. All right, off we go. How FastTrack helps. We got you back. So, a few years back, when we were first trying out this FastTrack experiment thing, there was that day where we said, our goal for the organization is we're going to deploy 100,000 seats of Exchange Online in a year. Yeah, go big or go home. 100,000. All right. As of last month, our run rate on Office ProPlus alone is 100,000 in 2 days. So we have seen a lot. Have we seen everything? Certainly not. But we have seen a lot of what does work and what doesn't work. So we want to stick to very standard deployments. We're not going to customize things. We're not going to add a lot of third-party stuff in, because these are things that we can't really support. You can break things with custom scripting. All right. We have had a couple of challenging deployments. If you haven't had a deployment go sideways, you haven't been doing this very long. Enterprises have problems, right? Okay. So a couple of specific examples. We had a customer who deployed all monthly, so they couldn't do any testing. Monthly obviously gets more and larger updates. They were overloading their network. So we had to roll back a couple of 100,000 seats. It's a big job. It takes a long time. And we had to do it in a fashion that minimized impact on their network. Another example, one of my other ones, we had a customer who decided to do local deployment. They were going to use their DFS shares, and they were going to replicate to 250 or so sites around the world. What happens when you put a really large chunk of code or files across a DFS share, across poor links? It starts to fail. You lose bits. So what happens to your source package after that? Suddenly, all the installs start randomly failing, okay? So these are examples where it wasn't that there was a product bug. What we had was a problem in the environment, and the other one was a bad choice for the package, for the channel distribution. Okay? We bring in extra resources. If something goes sideways, we'll help them get out of the mess. So for the first one, we had people on site and working with them for 9 months. In the second case, we had people working remote for about a year. Okay? We do not walk away from a problem. There is no upcharge for this. There's no separate statement of work. If something breaks, we'll help fix it. Now, the immediate question that comes up is, oh, well, do I still need to file a support case? Yeah, you should open a case if there's an issue. If there's a definite bug, find out about it, get some details. That way we can track it. But we will get people assigned, and we will help work through the issue. So after you've identified the bug and you get to the answers, like this is what you needed to fix it, we provide the resources to help with that process. We will not walk away. Okay, how we brought it back? We just applied a ton of people and worked with this. And one of the key things that came out of both of these issues is the need to stay current. There's a lot of different reasons for that. One, network impacts. You know, we want to minimize the amount of bits that are coming across. Obviously, if you're taking regular updates, the update is small. Security updates on semi-annual, 50 to 80 megabytes, no big deal. Let it go for a few months, it grows fast. Okay. Second, within the stay current, we want to make sure that we've got all the security things covered. You don't want to be that admin who has to explain why the latest iteration of WannaCry got through your environment. So it's good to keep it up to date. Security is important, size is important. Both of these can burn you. All right. If you go out to the FastTrack site, if you go down to the bottom of the page, there's an FAQ list. If you click on that FAQ list, there's a whole series of questions and answers. These are standard things that you can find out. All right. And now for App Assure.
Thanks, Bill. Hi, everyone. How many of you had the opportunity to, sorry, I'm a little loud. I don't want to scream at you. Carlos is our awesome engineer. How many of you had the opportunity to see Brad Anderson speak this week or Ron Markozich? Cool. Did any of you hear them make a commitment to helping customers shift to a modern desktop? I hope you did, because it's a big strategy of ours. Great. So you should have heard this week that we spent a lot of time on what the modern desktop can do for you, and then more importantly than that, how can we help you get there? And Brad and Ron focused on two critical resources for you. One is desktop analytics, which Brian talked about today, and then the second is desktop App Assure, which I'll cover in more detail. Desktop App Assure is a no-cost app remediation service for our customers who are moving to Windows 10 and Office 365 ProPlus. Over the last year, I've had the opportunity to work on this program. It's a total dream. I get to talk to a lot of customers who say, wait a minute, what are you doing? You're going to help us remediate our applications at no cost? Yes, Microsoft is making a tremendous commitment to our customers to help you move to the modern desktop. In the last year, as I've spoken to customers, a number of you have told me that you inventory your applications through a few different processes. Maybe you use System Center and you look at the inventory there. Some of you are using SharePoint lists. Other of you are even tracking your applications in Excel. And you typically categorize your applications in three categories. There's that set you want to retire that you just don't even want to move to Windows 10. You might have 15 versions of Snagit in your enterprise. You don't need to move all of them. Some of them were applications that were built long ago and nobody's even using them anymore, so there's no purpose of moving those forward. Then there's a portion you want to keep. They're important to your business, and you know the majority of those will work on Windows 10. That was the promise we made. There will be a small portion you may need to remediate, which is where our program fits in. And then the last is the set of applications that are really business enablers for you and can help your organizations really increase their productivity, sell more product, help more customers. And those are ones you might want to modernize to leverage the benefits of Windows 10. I'm not going to talk about that portion, the modernized portion today, but there is a really good session that was on Monday. I can actually pull it up after here and share the number with you guys. But If you're learning or interested in learning more about how to modernize certain applications to take advantage of those Windows 10 features, there's a lot of stuff going on at this conference to help you do that, and a really, really great program too, similar to ours that works with customers. I'll do a quick plug for desktop analytics here, but moving forward, what a great way to inventory your application and understand your upgrade readiness. Brian chatted about that a little bit. There's a portion of your applications that you're going to want to test in order to determine whether or not they work on Windows 10. There are a few resources here. I know many of you are manually testing your applications. There are some here that I want to point out that can help you accelerate that process. Ready for Windows, how many of you have heard of Ready for Windows? It's just a good number. Okay, great. Ready for Windows is a website that Microsoft runs. It leverages the analytics that come from desktop analytics and all the insights there. And it'll tell you which third-party applications are running globally in our customers on various versions of Windows 10, on various builds. So you can go there and look up, I'm running Symantec version XYZ, and you can determine if other customers are running that successfully, and also if the vendor has issued a support statement for Windows 10. Bill mentioned the Readiness Toolkit for Office, so I won't drain that. And then lastly, the Windows Insider Program for Business. How many of you are leveraging that program? Good. This is one where we'd love if every customer in the room and globally raise their hands when we ask this question. This is an opportunity for you to leverage early builds of Windows to test your critical applications. You don't have to wait till the day we release Windows and then start to test. You can get ahead of it early, and that's a great opportunity to report issues to Microsoft. Before we release a version of Windows, you can tell us that something doesn't work so that we can fix that before it goes live. And then lastly, remediation, which is our program, and I'll go through that actually on the next slide. Okay, so what does the Aperture service do? For our customers and partners, we will engage you directly to remediate your applications. There are 3 categories mainly that we look at. One are your internally developed line of business applications. Maybe you developed that application in 1996, you got it running on Windows 7, and it broke on Windows 10. We'll help you with that. You still have the source code, you still have the developer, great, we'll help you with that. You no longer have the source code and the developer is long gone, we will help you with that application. It does not matter whether or not you have the source code available. Third-party software vendor applications. This is a really important one. Previously, Microsoft would have engaged you and said, you know, it looks like the issue is with your third-party software vendor. We recommend that you call them. In this program, we do that work. We don't want to send you over to the software vendor saying, hey, it looks like it's their problem. We want to engage that third-party software vendor and tell them, hey, look, we've run these diagnostic tools and we think that there may be an issue in your application, and we partner with that ISV to help them fix the issue. Or we might find that the issue is in the Windows operating system, in which case we say, hey, ISV, look, we've identified a bug in our OS that we plan to address and resolve, but we want to make you aware so that you are aware of the implications on all of your customers. And then lastly, Office macros and add-ins. You have a custom add-in or macro for Office, we'll absolutely look at that and remediate that as well. Are there actually any software vendors in here that build apps for Windows 10, third-party, commercial? Great, so we want to work with you as well, help you understand how to get access to early builds of Windows, support for engineering, all those things so that you can make sure that you can release your software on time. In terms of how we work, when you call us or when you engage our program, what we do is we assign someone called an Aperture manager. The role of that person is to be a generalist app compat expert. Their role is to understand the breadth of everything you're doing over the course of your engagement to Windows 10. So they're going to have visibility into all the application challenges that you might be encountering. And then, as you know, and if you've done this for a long time, applications can vary greatly, and the types of issues you run into can vary greatly. And so these people engage the right Microsoft engineer to help you for that particular issue. You can imagine the expertise for desktop apps is different from the expertise for web apps. The expertise for IE is different than the expertise for Edge. And so they will connect you directly with the engineer who can actually troubleshoot that particular application. The one important thing, how many folks in here are IT managers versus developers? So IT managers, a good portion, good. And then developers? Sort of fewer, okay. So typically the people who call us are the IT managers who are responsible for the Windows and Office deployment. Because you're looking at the entire breadth of your portfolio and saying, you know, I need to understand how I get all these apps moved. But when it comes to actually working on the individual issues, you may not be the expert for that particular app. So what we ask is that we connect directly with your line of business application owner or your developers internally so we can work directly with them to troubleshoot the issue and get it fixed as quickly as possible. But then that App Assure manager connects back with you so you understand the progress of how that's going and making sure that you know that you can get those applications unblocked. So with that, that is the entire content for today. There's a few actions here in terms of connecting with the FastTrack program, and I will call my co-presenters back on stage to answer any questions. Oh, good, we have 15 minutes for questions. Oh, actually, Carlos told me, coached me on this. If you have a question, if you could please come up to a mic, because we are recording. And if you don't want to come up to the mic, we can repeat the question.
Not a problem. I just had a quick question for a FastTrack piece of it. I know you take it to the cloud. I know there was a 3 years ago, FastTrack didn't have a way to come back. Is that something, if you encounter issues and everything, is that like enhanced from something like that at that front?
I would say that,
Can you repeat the question?
yeah, the question was, if you FastTrack offers a service to the cloud, how do you go back if you have issues? I would say leverage co-management as a practical path to the cloud, being a cloud-attached story, meaning test everything out in the co-management scenario to make sure that you're comfortable going to the cloud. And just by switch of a knob, you can go back and forth. So before you do A to Z transition, co-management is an actual great solution to make sure that you are comfortable, that you are fully ready to move to the cloud.
And we have a co-management expert in the room, seated right up front here. Patrick, if anyone has any questions. Oh, you're brave.
Yeah. So with FastTrack, how does that help with the adoption of the tools? Because what we see is we roll out O365, but our users are using, you know, just that much of it and not really adopting Teams and everything like that.
So we do have a separate group that's, in the question, well, he heard it through the microphone. Pardon?
So the question was, how do we help with adoption
Yeah.
of tools? So we have many adoption material. We have labs, we have end-user videos, we have training material, we have a productivity library that's available to you that you can hand out this material to your users so they understand the changes that are coming, and also that you are understanding how to support those users, leveraging the lab. So there is a lot of information out there for adoption, and as I mentioned earlier, once you're fully deployed, we'll stick around to help drive that adoption so that you have the ultimate return on investment.
So we have a separate adoption team who actually works through that. And when the customer identifies which workloads they want, we'll actually make sure that we walk through those individual items. So once they start to get it deployed, then we'll tell them how to accelerate the adoption.
And I don't want to put him on the spot, but Lee, who's seated in the second row here, helps us develop the productivity library resources and is a good person to chat with about driving adoption. I'd say he's an expert in that space.
Great question. Come get your prize.
Oh, yeah.
Come get your prize for your
Oh,
great
yeah,
question.
yeah.
I forgot we had prizes.
Good.
No. I'll hand it out to you later.
There are lots of them, so. That's right, so for the desktop App Assure program, we don't have a limit. So the important part is that we engage at the point at which you identify. So the question was, is there a limit to the number of applications we'll help with? We don't have a limit. The important thing is that you engage us at the point that you've tested the application and determined that it's not working. So what we find is over the last year or so when we talked to customers, they said, but I have 600 apps that don't work. And we started to say, okay, well, 600 will be a lot, so can we actually support this? And what we found is as they've actually tested them, they've realized, oh, okay, it's not 600. So we had a large financial services institution that we worked with, started with 600 apps, and then what they actually had problems with that we remediated was 4. And so if you end up having 600, that you should absolutely bring them to us. We want to work on those, but I also believe in the compatibility promise that it's not 600 that are actually broken. Yeah.
Following up from the question before, from a co-managed environment to a modern managed environment, to what degree will FastTrack help clients move the applications to the cloud to get to true modern management?
So moving them to the cloud to allow you to distribute them through Intune?
Yes, a fully modern management platform.
So we are not, our service will remediate applications and package them in the format that is preferred by the customer. So we will help you do that for those that are remediated. But we believe that there's an ecosystem of partners that do really good work around packaging, and we don't want to replace that. So we won't package applications on their own, only the ones that we first remediate.
And when you say packaging, are you referring to MSI, MSIX?
Yep.
Or, okay.
Yep.
So Microsoft
It
will
would
do
be
that.
great. We'd love to help drive adoption of MSIX, but we know that our customers are in different places on their journey. So if a customer comes with us with an MSI or an EXE, AppX, AppB, we'll help them.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Currently have already deployed Office 365 through every user. Some of them are still running Office 2016, but whenever we have an opportunity, that is replaced by the click to conversion. We are using SCCM to deploy our machines, Windows 10, and the click to conversion Office. But what I'm trying, what I want to do next is to start utilizing the autopilot program. As you know, that is really tied to what the FastTrack is all about. In fact, I just attended another session where they mentioned that the autopilot is going to be formally added to the FastTrack program. So my question is here, will Microsoft help me with either a dedicated engineer or certain engineers that I can be working with? When it comes to, for instance, we do have Azure AD already. I believe we are, because this is education institution, so I believe what we have right now is the E3. I know that we don't have the mobility part, so we're willing to pay to license ourselves to whatever we need to do. But for instance, we will need assistance in, okay, how are we going to set up Intune? No, because we have Intune, but it's just empty because nobody uses it. What I'm mostly be interested in is to start the co-managed approach, and eventually, just use Intune as they keep adding more and more functionality.
Yeah.
So you be able to help us with that?
Yes, because also, did Patrick leave?
No, he's here.
He is.
But yeah, we support
okay.
we support Intune, we support Azure Active Directory, Autopilot coming soon, really soon, co-management, of course, desktop app Azure, Office ProPlus. So anything that we mention as your map to a modern stack, we will provide dedicated resources, subject matter experts across those services that are there for you to help you adopt those services. So absolutely.
Just to be clear, this will not be, this is not something that you or Microsoft will charge the cost for.
No, no cost.
Correct.
If you have 150 or more licenses of these services, you automatically qualify for this benefit today.
Yes.
Yeah. As I mentioned earlier, take advantage of it. Most of you already have it.
Well, the thing is, I didn't know anything about this.
Yeah.
That's our goal. Get the word
There you
out.
go.
I mean, I knew that Microsoft was behind the autopilot program ever since they announced it last year. But, because I really
Absolutely.
Hire a company to help us with this transition. Now, I'm capable of doing most of the work, but I will have to have another set of eyes
That's right.
guiding me and validating what I'm doing. So.
Absolutely. That's what
You
we're
need
here
a
for.
bag.
Yeah.
I mean, you just wrote our marketing pitch. Jeepers. Do you want to co-present next year? We have a spot for you on stage.
I think we have a question.
Yes.
Hi, sorry, I'm a little nervous.
Oh, hello. We all are.
I guess in general, I know you won't be able to answer anything specifically. My parent company has purchased Azure licenses and for Intune, all the good stuff. My actual company hasn't started doing anything yet. If we were getting on FastTrack, we have, I'm gonna say it's about even, it would probably be about 10,000 users and about 10,000 devices. Do you have any idea what the average time frame is for, I guess, both initially setting it up and then getting everybody on board with it? Just so I can give them an idea. My bosses, that is.
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, it's going to depend, of course, but if you're committed, we're definitely committed. And so we have seen customers achieve success in less than 45 days. But again, it's based on the scenarios and it's based on your commitment. But it's, we can accelerate your move if you're committed. So again, the best case was less than 45 days, the city of Corona story.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just a quick question. I have a scenario. We're upgrading to Windows 10, and at the same time, we're upgrading our Office from, say, 2013 to 2016. We have a legacy macros, but we're not sure if it's a Windows 10 issue or an Office issue. Would
Yeah.
FastTrack fix that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
Even though, like, it could be just because we're moving to Office 2016, not Windows 10. That's the issue.
Yeah, so one of the reasons why we've very specifically called into our scope both Windows and Office is that it's not easy for our customers to tell, was it my Windows move that broke the Office? Was it my Office move or an update that broke Office? And we don't want you to have to think about that. The thing to always think about is it worked before on Windows 7 and an older version of Office, and it doesn't work on the new version. And so if that's a scenario you're in, then we'll spend time with you. And we do spend a lot of time. Sometimes it takes us a couple of weeks to really try to root cause what's going on, to pinpoint if it's Windows or Office, and then remediate that.
Great, thank you.
Yes. I thought, did you have a question before?
So, back to the other gentleman's question about application compatibility, I know it's more specific to Intune, but as you guys are looking at remediating legacy applications, so the example that I had was we run Sage. Sage, older versions of Sage use FRX, which has been deprecated, and doesn't run on 64-bit platforms. So the workaround that I came up with was to run it in an ASCII context on a 32-bit machine and packaged it up. I got it working, but I fought with it for about 2 weeks. That type of compatibility testing sounds like FastTrack would be able to assist with. We've got this thing, but it's deprecated, so that's a Microsoft product. But there may be instances where a vendor doesn't exist anymore. Like you said, I'll reach out to the ISP for you. Well,
Yeah.
So how do you typically go about handling application compatibility? So you mentioned AppI, MSI, and remediating these things. Like, is there a pecking order to the technologies that you use to help people get to a functional state?
Yeah, so I do want to call out one thing that's really important there. So if your third-party software vendor still exists and they have a paid version of your application that's equivalent, that works on Windows 10, we can't remediate the older application because we have to be careful about getting in front of the third-party software vendor there. We have worked on scenarios where the vendor's no longer in existence, in which case we do everything we can to get that older application working, but also in a secure state. So sometimes we run into challenges where we've got a solution to the problem, but we think that it might leave the customer less secure, so we keep trying to think of other things that work. And we have run into scenarios where there's deprecated technologies in the application as well that we then try to figure out, okay, what's the next thing that we can switch to if a customer has the code, and then we'll help point them to that and code to the newest solution. If not, we have options for shimming an older technology to get around those things to get it working if you can't necessarily get to a new version of the software. And as you can tell, it's very application specific. The goal is just, it's really an interesting thing because we've seen so many different types of problems that our goal is really get in and talk to the customer and understand what's going on in that application and figure out the most efficient way to get you back up and running. Yeah.
So let's say you have a security team that's a little nervous about the cloud. Part of this fast track, you guys have the ability to come in and talk to us and more specifically the security team, let them know what we should expect in this space, because we want to go, and my team wants to go, but we're constantly battling against our security team on this.
It's a good question. I'm going to repeat that question because it's a really good one, because I bet a number of you are in this situation. So how many of you have a security team that's a little anxious about moving to the cloud? Great. Okay. Do you know the answer to this?
Yeah, absolutely. We will come and talk to your security team. Now, keep in mind the FastTrack Center is a remote-only service, but for the scenarios that I mentioned before, we have limited on-site support for Americas only, and we will come deliver workshops and work with your security team so that they understand the importance of moving to the cloud, and we are able to address any of their concerns.
I mean, remote's fine as well, so I need to get somebody else from your team to talk to that.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. It's a super common concern. Yeah. Yeah. We have about 12 seconds. I'll be hanging around here after the session because I think we're actually going to get kicked out here.
And we have a couple of our engineers here as well. So we'll stick around. We'll have our engineers sticking around if you have more questions. We'll just move over to the side.
Hi. Yep. Yeah. I'm sorry, I might actually step down because I can't hear you because this folks channel it. So I'll come down and yes, thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks again for your time, folks.